What does Soweto, South Africa, Trinidad and Tobago, and Pittsburgh in the United States have in common? At UNESCO, we were thinking, well, Trinidad and Tobago was part of the slave trade, Pittsburgh was close to the Civil War, and South Africa was part of the apartheid struggle. What we found out by rolling out this Gigapan project that I'm going to talk about today is, in fact, the students didn't view it this way at all. They were looking at similarities that were very real and important to their lives. Things like pollution they discussed, what cars are on the streets, what cell phone people had. They kept looking at cell phones. Wow, you have this feature. Do you have that feature? And so it's something very real that we've been discussing in these past few days, and it also shows that with social networking, a lot of interesting issues can be raised. So I'm going to discuss the Gigapan, which is a robotic camera today, something we're using in UNESCO in a pilot project. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the background on it, how we got there, how we started to use it, kind of how it works. And then I'm going to show a short video of the children in Soweto using it themselves, because I think there's no better way to understand it than from the children's perspective and on the field. Recently, the Gigapan has been in the media a lot. I expected to come here and tell people I'm doing the Gigapan. They'd be like, what? But then just before I arrived, CNN started to cover it because somebody took an image of the inauguration here. And you can see that this is the Gigapan itself. And here is an image of Obama standing up at the podium giving a speech. And it shows the power of the zoom of the Gigapan and the power of discovery, because you can zoom into any person pretty much in this image and see them with that degree of detail. So we decided on this project in the UNESCO IBE office in Geneva because it's a project that's very easy to implement, very fast to implement. Once you have a camera and take it to a school, it can be set up in a matter of hours. Students can be taught in 1 or 2 hours. The school in Soweto specifically, they had received computers 8 months before, so they had very little computer knowledge. It was not a rich school. The province of Gauteng is giving out computers to each school, high school in Soweto, so they're all getting computer experience. But you need very little, actually, to be able to use this technology. The cost is low, so that's why we liked it as well. It's about $300–400 for the little robot. It's very visible. We just presented at the International Conference on Education in November. 120 ministers. Loved seeing the pictures. They can be blown up to 7-meter long images. And it's very versatile and adaptable. So for us, it was a very easy win project. Now here's a bit of the background. Basically, it was created by Carnegie Mellon University researchers in association with NASA. They were using it for the Mars rover expedition. You know, how would the rover see the terrain? How could they get the most information out of Mars and bring it back to Earth? So you see it's a technology where you can really see critical, detailed aspects of the landscape, flora and fauna, and people. It was also part of the technology that was used by Google Earth. Initially, they used that technology of taking the pictures and gluing them all together to create the Google Earth technology so that when you look using Google Earth, you think it's one big picture and you zoom in. And then it was also used for things like Hurricane Katrina to assess the disaster situation. So that's a bit of the background of where it came from the researchers and the Carnegie Mellon NASA Center. So now here you have what you're used to seeing on Google Earth, your standard shot where you look down onto the Earth and you zoom in, and you see your house, you see your friend's house, and things like that. And the difference with the Gigapan is that now instead of looking just down, you're looking across and zooming in across. So I tried to represent it here a little bit. You kind of zoom in, and you have this 360 degree that you can create. Right now, our project, as I mentioned, is in Soweto, Trinidad and Tobago, in the United States. And in fact, next week, we're going to be discussing how do we roll this out to more countries? How do we scale up? How can we make this more sustainable? And so I'll be looking forward to the interactions with all of you as to some of your ideas on how this might be done better, improved, and that sort of thing. So here we have how people are introduced to the Gigapan. I have one right here. I basically put it on this fancy tripod to try to impress you more. But all it is really just this little box here and a regular camera. Some 400 cameras can fit onto this. And they've created a bigger edition that's just come out that can fit, the more professional cameras, the ones with the bigger zoom lenses, the ones that the reporters took, showing Obama. And basically what it does is it just turns left, right, up, down, and then there's a little motor to take photographs. I have a bit more additional documentation up front if you want to get it later after the presentations. But as you can see, it stands. As you can see, we basically teach the students, and then the students go out and are given a project to try to use the Gigapan right away. So in a matter of hours, they've actually learned how to use this thing. At the back, you'll see the complexity. I don't know if at the back you can see it, but there are 4 little buttons here, up, down, left, right, and an on-off, yes, no button. So it asks you questions. Is it on? Yes. Have you turned your camera on? Yes. So it's very, very simple information you need to use this technology.
How much is this?
It's around $300, $300 to $400. So actually, the camera can actually cost more. Once you take the photographs, they're loaded into your computer the way you would normally do it with a camera. They're a bit out of order, so you have to place them together. This is a town in Switzerland. And this actual Gigapan is 400 images. You then just have to put it in order so it looks kind of, sort of, like a really big picture. And then the software, this is free software now that you can download, stitches them, glues them all together. The thing that the robot's doing is taking the photos incrementally so that the computer knows how far apart they are and can get a seamless photograph, a seamless Gigapan panorama. And so this is a final product here. This is, again, is Neil. And you can see it's integrated with Google Earth here. You can take snapshots of things you find interesting. You zoom in and you take a snapshot, you add the comment. Where the social networking comes is communicating about the different aspects. So for instance, for schools, we might take a picture of the Taj Mahal. The other school might not find that that's what they're studying. They're studying economics. With the power of the zoom, you can zoom in and see a merchant selling something, and you can see the prices that he actually has on his goods, and then they can start the discussion about that. So it's more flexible in your standard exchange. Here you can see the power of the zoom. This little snapshot here is right here. And when you zoom in, you see it like that. So you can really get a lot of definition. This is just an example of the schools communicating. This is in Trinidad. They're discussing their cultural diversity that they have at their school, and the students in Pittsburgh responding back that they have students from Japan and from India, and raising awareness of how there's similarities between their schools. We also have these Gigapan galleries at the end with these schools. It's a way of bringing the schools and the students and the teachers and the communities together to kind of share the work and to share the experiences across cultures. At the back is the lead inventor of the product, Ila Nurbaksh, who's from Carnegie Mellon. I can also give out his details if people want to become associated with the project. And you can see some of the outcomes that we've had here. So we find that it really depends on the school. We don't have a one-size-fits-all. We really go into each school that we've gone to and we look, what can we teach these students? So in some cases it's academic skills. Sometimes the students will never have a chance to go to university. They won't have the money. And so it's professional skills. They learn how to work together. One of the end of project assessments, we asked them what they learned, and one student said, I don't like teamwork. Everybody else is stupid. But they learn teamwork.